Hello and welcome to the Be Formless Flow Driven CEO podcast, where we are reshaping life, leadership, and business from the inside out. And today I'm welcoming all the way from Tulsa, Oklahoma, Stephen Stearman. Welcome to the show, Stephen.
Thank you for having me, B. Excited to be here.
Yeah, me too. Thank you for coming. And gosh, we've had quite the chit chat before the show. We should have just hit record then and
I know.
avoided the intros. And here we go. We would have just been kept our conversation going. It was like, no, we've got to start recording now. It's always the way. I always like, let's have a quick little 5 minute chat, and then it ends up being a bit longer. Anyway.
Well, that's how we know it's going to be good.
Yeah, totally right. So let's do the intros, and I'm going to hand it over
Yeah.
to you. You're the co-founder and CEO of Synth, and I'm going to spell it. It's
Yeah.
P-S-Y-N-T-H.
Yes.
You only started in the company in July of last year, so super new position.
hmm
And Synth was spun out of a venture studio. I'll let you share the story and everything else, but I do love that
Yeah.
it was spun out of a venture studio that you have shares in. And essentially it's an AI native platform that automates and modernizes psychological assessment reporting, turning
hmm
hours of clinician writing into minutes without compromising clinical rigor. You're a healthcare tech builder who previously founded Elevate Holistics and held leadership roles at Craft Health. That gives you a rare blend of clinical workflow insight and product execution. And today, from what I understand, you're focused on the trustworthiness of AI for mental health practitioners, clearing the guardrails, gold standard outputs, and real time back for care. And what I loved a huge amount was that when you
Exactly.
answered the question in terms of booking in for the pod, what is, one unique insight and lived experience when it comes to life, leadership, and or business? I loved this. You said having a conflict forward therapist is as valuable as a business coach for founders. And I was saying to you pre-show as well. Yesterday I had someone on the show who was in conflict, who was a conflict resolution coach in mediation, and it's so funny because I have these times where I've got these different people being interviewed, and it's actually just happening organically that now I'm catching up with you. Anyway, I'm
Yeah.
going to hand it over to you.
Well, that it's a great intro, and I couldn't have said it any better myself. So thank you for the great intro. And
No, thank you.
um, for should I just tell my story about how I
It's
got into
yours.
sin?
It's yours. It's yours
Okay.
to tell, and I'm going to ask questions, but I'm going to let you just roll. And it's all formless. This whole thing is really formless. It just goes wherever it needs to go.
Cool. Well, my background is really door-to-door sales. So I think some of my experience and how I view life, and really was my first opportunity. In college, I sold encyclopedias door to door, and that was really my first experience
Wow.
getting over. I know it was a crazy experience. I'm from Kentucky, which is in the middle of the country. From the suburbs, and in college, I lived all over America selling these encyclopedias. And this is this is 2010, 11, 12, 13, when YouTube and everything was taken off. So people were like, why are you out here selling encyclopedias? But it was the most amazing experience, and truly was my first understanding in the power of positivity, being optimistic, understanding how far hard work can get us, can get me, and building confidence that I can go do this thing, and also just understanding people, understanding humans, how to connect quickly and deal with rejection, right? I mean, founders so often, most of our job is it's like getting rejected in sales opportunities, or VCs raising money, or just investors raising money,
Yeah,
or
totally.
or rejection with hires that we want to get in, or and even just into the day to day. So that was really a formative experience over that time, and got to recruit people and train people in doing it, and really, really love that. And that's what got me into graduate school in Austin, Texas. I moved down there and went to grad school for entrepreneurship, and that really helped just take this like insatiable appetite I had for personal growth and setting goals, and believing in myself, and paired that with entrepreneurial like education, and then did tech sales in Austin for several years, worked at nonprofits. In grad school, I met a best friend. So that gets us up to 2019, where he called me and he said, I've got a company I want to start and it's in medical cannabis. And I jumped at the opportunity because I knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but didn't have the opportunity yet to like
Yeah.
think through what I wanted to start. And I'm already an investor in a healthcare company called Craft Health that he started, which I then jumped to after that. So I started Elevate Holistics with him. We helped do medical marijuana cards all over the country. Our best year, we did nearly 60,000 medical cards. I mean,
Wow.
it was an awesome business. Had so much fun doing it. Built all of our own technology for it, which for better or for worse, we can totally talk about the pros and cons of build versus buy, and how hard it was to not be a technical founder building millions of dollars worth of tech. There's a lot to unpack there. And that was really when I started doing therapy. And, you know, I started
Therapy
the
for you,
company,
sorry, therapy for you, or therapy like when you, yeah, yeah,
therapy, like personal, yeah, personal therapy,
yeah.
with a counselor. And that's really where, I really started to look at what were my blind spots and my deficiencies, especially with my relationship with drug and alcohol and some of the stuff from my family. My dad's an alcoholic. And so got to start to really look into all of this and
Okay.
turned over a bunch of rocks that had never been turned before. And he did not take any bullshit when I would try to skirt past something. And I think that was really what helped, like self-forgiveness, self-acceptance, right? Started to lean with more vulnerability, and that had a massive impact on my company, where then I got the company, basically a company therapist for all my employees. We were a small team. We only got to about 20 people, had access to a therapist and then a performance coach. And that was a part of the culture and the business. And it was an amazing addition to our company benefits. Absolutely loved it. And all the people loved it. Like all the employees loved it. They met with Kathy. She's amazing. She's in the UK. And it was just such great work for the company. And then, I ran that business for 5 years. Had got married, had a baby girl, was ready to start a new thing. So hired a CEO for Elevate, and then moved to Tulsa, took over a concierge medicine business, did a testosterone clinic, started another company that failed. Then last July, decided to leave the concierge medicine business to jump on board with Psynth as the coming out of the venture studio. For those that don't know what a venture studio is, it's a venture fund that actually has like a product person, a marketing person, and a team
Yeah.
of researchers, and normally a developer. And the team of researchers goes and looks at opportunities, and then they start to do a go-to-market plan, builds MVPs, finds design partners. Once there's actually legs to the opportunity, then they find a CEO to come in and run it. I was already invested in that firm. Psynth was coming out of that. I got an email saying they're looking for a CEO. I thought it was my perfect time to get in this intersection of AI and healthcare. I already built a lot of tech in regulated spaces. It seemed like it was perfect, and I'm really passionate about AI. And made the jump. At that time, we had a few customers. Now we have a few hundred, and
Wow.
we're well on the way to breaking even. So I'm now at 5 developers, a head of psychology, and myself. So now we're growing steadily every month. It has been crazy, but we're essentially bootstrapped. We've raised a couple 100,000 in seed capital. Now our
Wow.
burn is super manageable relative to where we're going. Tried to do the VC thing, and just it's been an amazing last 9 months now. And as we're talking about founder mental health, and I feel like I'm always on. I know I'm always on. I mean, it's just
I was about to
I was
say, like listening to you, I'm like, whoa, like I was talking to you pre-show about like just giving my little story, and then I'm like listening to this because it's like, and then this, and then this, and then this, and then this. And I'm like, do you ever stop? Like,
it's nonstop. I will tell you that, even yesterday I was on a call with a support call with a customer for an hour, Saturday, doing the same. Like I was like constantly on just doing the things that are not very scalable to get us to where we need to be, right? To where we're break even, and then we can choose the future of the business. But this is exactly where I need to be. It's exactly where I want to be. I chose this, right? And that's what I tell myself every day. But it's really hard to turn off. And my wife and I, we have another baby on the way. So we have a 2-year-old, almost a 2-year-old, another baby on the way. Luckily, she is the best support system of all time. But, I'm in Tulsa. I really haven't been able to find a great friend group, which definitely hurts me. I'm a total extrovert, so I don't have this community that I can pour into like
yeah,
I left in
right.
Austin. And luckily, my sauna, my cold plunge in the gym, and my bike are like keeping me afloat.
Yeah,
in
totally. Yeah.
my wife. So lots to get into here, but that's the story.
Yeah, amazing. You know what comes up for me, and I have never asked this, and I'd love your thoughts on it. But like, do you think like entrepreneurs, founders, like when I'm listening to you, I'm like type A personality, like I'm such a type A, right? Like in terms of just like always doing something. Like mum even was on the weekend just going, do you stop? Like your energy is just like, and I'm not suggesting, but like you may not be a type A, but you definitely you need to be stimulated and I guess what do they say about
Totally.
idle hands or whatever. But like I feel like is it something uniquely, do you think it's something uniquely in entrepreneurs or founders or in startup that there's almost like this addiction's the wrong word, but like just this it's like this obsession almost like that, you almost get so into it that yeah, it's all consuming, but
Totally all
startup
consuming.
and founder is all consuming. So you have to have some sort of this
Yeah.
personality to be able to keep doing it because like you say, like some
Yeah.
days it's like not easy. And I think and this is where the therapist piece comes in and what you're doing and having the ability to dig into, well, what does that why are you behaving like that? Why are you, why are you so like just consumed by it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's just
I do. I
it's
do.
interesting, and I'd love your thoughts on it.
Oh, there's so much to unpack here. B, I mean,
It's like a therapy session in itself what
oh,
we're
this is
having, isn't
so
it?
good. Yeah, it's like so oh wow. I've had the opportunity to confront a part of myself where yeah, I'm consistently wondering like, am I good enough to do this? Right?
Yeah,
Am I the man for the job? Am I good enough to do this? Am I the leader to build a great company? And as I continue to do this stuff, I realize I am, but at the same time, I view this like a tornado and that it's like an upward cyclone where every time as I'm continuing to ascend this staircase, I'm at the edge of my comfort zone. And so I'm like constantly at that edge of this growth area, right? Doing things I haven't done. That's the thing about the business. And it's like I get scared, I haven't raised money. Well, I need to lean into it. Right. And so I'm constantly looking at, and that's what was so great about Robert as my therapist. And then I did some emotional intelligence stuff, like understanding that yes, um, I can use this to my advantage, right?
Mm.
Like this drive to succeed, this drive
Yeah.
where it's like a healthy skepticism in my own ability. And it's why it's like hubris can be super dangerous. Like, oh, like I got this, whatever. It's like, well, that can lead. It's like I'm constantly questioning, am I making the right decisions? And it's leading me to better like doing research and talking to more people. And all that's the same. It's all the same. It's the same side of the coin, right? Or it's like different side of the same coin, or however we want to phrase it. I think a lot of entrepreneurs deal with this. A lot of entrepreneurs are neurodivergent in some way, whether that's ADHD or ADD or dyslexic
Yeah.
or autistic, however we want to put it. There's a massive, I think it's something like the number of entrepreneurs that are dyslexic would shock you. Have you seen these stats?
No, I didn't. Yeah, no.
It's it's unbelievable. And they have ADHD. And I think that this is all the same because we're constantly and have trouble with authority, totally a personality type. And it's all the same. And it's like we're just in situations where we have to do things differently and question why things are done the way they're done, and we get obsessive. It's all the same, right? I think
Yeah, because I
that's
was
the
thinking,
profile that's
yeah,
in
because
it.
I was going to say OCD as well, because it's just like you get stuck on something and you're like, no, I know this can work. Like, it's like you keep
There's
going
something
and
there.
going and going at it. There's something there. I'm just going to keep unraveling and unraveling and
Yeah.
unraveling it. It can get unhealthy though when you get into that mode. Yeah, that's
It's
fascinating. Those stats are fascinating. No one talks about
it
this
really
stuff
is.
though, really. Like, no one talks about like like exactly what you've just spoken about. I mean, people talk about that, are openly admitting they're, either neurodivergent or whatever. But excuse me, we don't talk about this just, yeah, it's just this kind of who we are. And people just think entrepreneurs at times are crazy. Like, why would you do that? Like, why don't you just get a job? Why don't you just do this? It's like,
It doesn't
well,
work. It
like
doesn't.
looking at you just within a job, I'm like, how boring. Like,
How boring.
like it seems really
Yeah.
normal, but it seems really boring to me. And I would just get so, back
You
to
know,
mental health. Yeah.
there's also some. I think about, I mean, I was let go or laid off from an outrageous percentage of my jobs because I was always I was always in school. I was always in trouble in school growing up. I was always talking, not listening. I did well enough in school. I didn't have to like pay attention that much, but was always distracted. And then, even through roles, because I was always questioning, why are we doing this way? This doesn't make sense. Like I can do this better. Like, why are we doing this? And it was really difficult. And I know several entrepreneurs that become entrepreneurs because there's really nothing else. They're just like, what am I going to do? Like, well, I just got to go chart my own course here. Don't really fit this like archetype of some sort of corporate leader or within a job, and they're not satisfied unless they're getting the spoils of my hard work. Right? It's like, why am I working so hard for someone else's
Mm,
reward? And I
mm.
think that all this is connected, right?
Yeah,
And then you actually get into it, and it's like, no, this is actually really hard.
yeah. So tell us then a little bit about like you've got company therapists in. I want to get to Synth as well. And you talked around
Yeah,
this conflicting forward therapist is as valuable as a business coach.
yeah.
What are the benefits of having something like that in a business? Like, obviously you've got your performance coach, like from a performance perspective. But when you put the two together, like, is it for employees or, you mentioned about the company you were in and your team, or is it now in Synth that you have it? But, you
Yeah,
talked about that it was like amazing in terms of like the results.
yeah.
You'd no doubt get better engagement, better performance, full stop. People probably, from a mental health perspective, so much better. Tell us a little bit about, what you observe, what you see when you do bring this in.
Yeah, absolutely. It was incredible. So my company, it was an avenue, it was a forum, it was a whatever where the company could one, it increased communication greatly because they would go to the therapist and say, well, here's what I'm experiencing, here's what I'm frustrated about, here's what's going on. And they're like, well, it sounds like you might need to talk to this person about this. Should we get on a little group call? Like, should we address this together? And here's how you want to have this conversation. And so she was just as much of a communication coach. And people oftentimes just need to be heard and
Yeah,
they feel good anyway.
yeah,
Or they feel assuaged. And so that was really the biggest thing, just an avenue where they felt like they could go talk and they trusted her and they could have honest conversation. And I would have conversations with her about where we were going and why I'm doing what I'm doing. And she could help translate that in those vulnerable settings. And so I think that it just increased communication, reduced conflict, clarity of vision. I mean, all those things were much, much, I guess, more clear, right? Or higher. There's more of it.
and do you think this replaces the role? Like, I've been having quite a few conversations in terms of like human resources as we know it and as we've always known it. And like, there obviously needs that, you need that. But like, human resources is, like it's interesting what it encapsulates in terms of that, and there is
Completely.
that I can't think of the name of it for the life of me, but it's the number you can call EV something. I can't remember what it's called, but like if you think about HR in a business and you think about what you've talked around in putting together like the company therapist and the performance coach. It's a very different approach. It's a way more modern approach to then HR
Totally.
as we know it when it's like, the conflict and the issue. And I'm not bagging HR at all, but it just feels quite more progressive and the ability to it doesn't have HR all over it and people like, oh, I don't really want to talk to
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Mhm. Well, for context, right, we're a 25-person company and we were all remote. And I think about HR, you've got the part of HR, you've got management of benefits, you have talent and recruitment, right?
Yeah.
So who's putting the job descriptions, who's doing all that stuff. Um, my chief of staff managed a lot of that. So she managed those components. And it was kind of a combination of a few of us managed, the ops leader was involved with benefits. Like we kind of split up that role. So we didn't really need a dedicated person that we weren't big enough, right? And regulations didn't mean that we had to have that. And then the people management side, yeah, we kind of just offloaded to Kathy to do that. So, the traditional HR individual. We didn't really have to have, and we also had we had a platform. I forget what it was even called now, that managed the performance management, right? It, like scheduled the meetings and recorded and then did some stuff. So I think with technology today, you can do a lot of this, especially with agents
Yeah.
now. You don't, smaller companies definitely don't need an HR role. I think I won't hire an HR role until I'm at about 50 people.
Yeah.
But we still have to have ways to clear communication, right? What is it? Once you get over six, each additional person is like an order of magnitude more complex, like the communication nodes to manage, like each person over six, right? It's like, how do we make sure that communication is not in silos, right? We're always thinking about that. So I don't know, maybe it is kind of a replacement to what a lot of people would think about HR,
Yeah.
right?
Tell tell us a little bit about Synth. So basically, in terms of that psychological assessment reporting, sort of automate and modernize it and take less of the, like manual labor,
Yeah,
if you like, and get focused back with, what you're meant to be doing. I guess I've got quite a few questions because mental health is so prevalent now, and obviously, there is a shortage at times of like psychologists and clinicians and the ability for people to, you talked around neurodivergency and on being neurodivergent and like there's waiting lists of up to like 12 months for some people to get
it
into.
is.
Hence, in
Yeah,
Australia, they've just changed the, or
yeah,
Victoria, I can't remember, but they've just changed it from does a doctor will be able to diagnose somebody with like the likes of ADHD, for example, here.
yeah.
Okay, so there's a lot of conversation going on. I know it's interesting, but yeah, tell us a little bit about
Cool.
what you're seeing in terms of given what your business is doing. Mm.
Well, psychologists are burned out.
Yeah,
There's school. I mean, here you think about we have. I mean, it's going to be a lot largely the same in Australia, right? But
yeah, it
you got
is.
neuropsychs, clinical psychs, school psychs, psychiatrists, right? You got forensic psychologists, all these different things, and these reports before ChatGPT, before they're augmenting with systems like ChatGPT, we're going to take 4 to 12, 14 hours a piece. So how do you manage a caseload plus do all the writing, right? And so people were spending the percentage of psychologists that spend their time on nights and weekends writing their reports is astronomical. It's I don't know the numbers exactly, but it is something like well over 50% of that's when they write. And so psychologists are just as burned out as founders, and they need the support here where they want to be able to go to the gym and spend time with family and kids. And I've been on multiple calls where people have literally teared up when they see what we can do because like I can now spend time at home at night enjoying my time, not writing. And that's happens with psychologists all over the world. It's
It's also the
amazing that
emotional
that's
load,
the
isn't
case.
it? Like having the like
Oh my gosh.
because
Oh
you go,
my gosh.
I know that I've been to therapy myself, and like like it's a lot yourself as the patient, but
Totally.
also then the psychologist. If you were doing
Oh
that
my
day like
gosh.
one after the other, and then coming home
Yes.
trying to be like emotionally like engaged, pretty
Just
impossible.
present.
Yeah,
Yeah, and a lot of our psychologists do therapy too, and they want to be able to spend more time doing the assessments. That's ultimately where the money is. So we think about insurance codes in the States, they don't get paid nearly as much to write reports as they do to actually do the testing and the interviewing and spending time with customers. And they want to be able to get this done faster so their hourly rate's higher. Plus, they can spend more time with customers, see more patients, even if it's the therapy practice. And that's why, that's basically why we do what we do. The researchers found that this was the case with psychologists, started interviewing psychologists, found out that this is as bad as it is, and why Synth has been able to basically, with no money, build what we've been able to build and have a consistent growth track to be profitable in the next few months. And our marketing spend, we've only spent a few $1,000s a month in marketing, and it's all been like meta. So
yeah,
like people are searching, people want it, the demand is there. We just have to build something. The challenge is building something it's basically like in possibilities because every psychologist has a different template. Every psychologist does things differently. And so to productize something with that like invariability has been quite the challenge, quite the technical challenge, because how do you make that beautiful, right? Like what's the differentiator in the age of AI
yeah.
where code is almost commoditized, right? Production grade code, not as much. Well, like taste, right? Sales experience, the customer support experience, right? Are all basic and user experience are the differentiators, right? In technology. Right? And
Mm.
so for us, it's like, how do we how do we make sure that we accurately extract the data? Because people do handwritten notes and take pictures of stuff and have faxes, and it's like it's crazy what people do. Extract the data accurately and then present them in narrative in a 6 to 26, 30-page report where we're keeping the context tight with, and they can get in and actually dial in, read it, dial it in, and export it to something that resembles their template, right? I mean, it's like end to end is the goal. That's where we're almost there.
That's amazing. And how much time are you saving for psychologists, clinicians using your product?
Well, it depends on how much time they're already spending on the reports, right? If they're using ChatGPT and they're doing it in 2 hours, then we can safely say we're going to cut your time in half. Where Synth right now, start to finish, anyone can get a report done in 30 to 60 minutes.
Wow.
Where if you're doing 10-hour reports, well, then we're saving you,
Yeah,
90% of your
totally.
time. I mean, it's an economic no-brainer, right?
Yeah.
But as more people get used to ChatGPT and are incorporating these tools, we're saving usually 3-4 hours, right? Pretty much for each psychologist.
Amazing. It's amazing. And is this just based in America at the moment? Like, is it like where are you? Like, what's your plan in ambition with the product? Like, yeah, because it sounds like it's a
No.
global challenge, full stop, right? Like,
Oh, I'm so excited. No, we just got GDPR compliant last week. We just got PEPIDA, so now we can serve Canada compliantly. We actually have some Australian customers.
yeah,
So
right.
and in New Zealand, and we have a Kiwi. So we are excited for the possibilities there, especially once we get the privacy rule 15 down. That won't be, which we have all the procedures and the constraints. We just have to formally go through the principles based like rule to say that we are.
Yeah.
But no, my strategy is to own the Anglosphere, if you will. So we already have South African customers, we have customers in the UK. So thinking about the English speaking nations primarily, and that's where I'm focused. And we're going through the internationalization process with their engineers to where we can serve most of Europe, and we'll just kind of expand from there. But Australia is an emphasis of ours for sure.
Yeah, amazing. Do you think that there is, like, do you think mental health has got worse since COVID? Like, do you think that this is there's a loneliness epidemic, there's so many, challenges. And, if I look back to when I was, a teenager and, if you had a mental health challenge, it was just like whack the person with, a prescription and off you go sort of thing. There was like, just here's some antidepressants, off you go, or,
Yeah.
Xanax, dare I say it. And now it's like getting deep into it, and like there's neuro, other back to like the neurodivergent again, like ADHD.
Yeah.
It's really prominent. Like, where do you see these these trends? And trends is again probably not the right word, but like in terms of mental health, it feels like it's almost worse than ever, and across the board, from children through through to adults. And like we were talking pre-show
Yeah.
around even burnout. Burnout isn't just exhaustion. Burnout is like there's something going
Yeah.
on, like that could be triggered back to your childhood and why you've just like pushed and pushed and pushed yourself, sort of thing. Like, I'm just using myself as a bit of an analogy there. But like, what are you seeing across the board? Are you seeing it more in adults, more in businesses, more in leaders? Like, what are the psychologists or clinicians? Do they share this sort of information with you? They don't specifically go into patient detail, but is it getting
Yeah.
better? Is it getting worse? You've said psychologists are burning out.
Well, you show me the incentive, I'll show you the outcome. And at least in the States, there's a lot of incentive, especially through programs like Medicaid, Medicare. Like there's been whole businesses propped up around autism spectrum certifications or evaluations. And so there's, the amount of people, it's something like 30,000 people a day are getting evaluated in the States. It's a
Wow.
crazy stat. And there's so correlation, causation. I think there's correlation from COVID and TikTok. So TikTok is a huge factor behind a lot of this,
Really?
because people are seeing online, people are getting on TikTok and be like, oh, I now have ADHD or whatever it is. And so they're reaching out to people to get like, oh, maybe you do too. So there is a correlation to TikTok and the growth of these assessments. Yeah, it's weird. that's an interesting one. COVID for sure. People were locked up, but now we're 5 years out, and now I think it's social media, right? You look at the loneliness epidemic, especially with young women and young women feeling anxious and hopeless, or however that needs to be phrased. That's social media driven. There's a lot to be unpacked with what social media is doing to the overall mental health and mood
Totally.
of society.
I was talking to a friend on the weekend and she was telling us about her, daughter and just like she's completely switched it off and her personality has completely changed since then. Like, because I go back to when, like I said, I keep going back like even 10 years ago, like it does feel like it's getting like wilder in terms of more and more and more of it. And it's like, what is causing so much of this? And
Yeah.
like you say, back to social media, back to like just assuming just because like, oh, I've got this symptom, so like, and then not drilling into it. There's a lot to unpack, isn't there?
There's a lot to unpack. That's for
And
sure.
and so then in terms of psychologists and clinicians, is there also then a shortage? Like, are you seeing there's a shortage in terms of, or, that there's less people, becoming clinician psychologists? What are you seeing in that space?
Yeah, I don't know about the number of people coming out of school, but the lines are still long. I
Yeah.
mean, we have practitioners in private practice that are 8, 9, 12, 14 months out
Mm,
on new patients. So,
mm,
I mean, it's there. The demand is there, but that's why you see the pop up. What's been interesting is, so my medical cannabis business, we were able to do what we were able to do because of a loosening of regulations around telehealth. That has been a prolific thing in healthcare in the States, where now you get testosterone online, you got all the hair stuff online, you got hims and hers, and well, that also is happening in mental health. So now
yeah.
you have the companies that are able to do prescriptions for like the stimulants online. You've got oxytocin companies online. You've got, I mean, all types of things. And you have private equity VC-backed companies that are doing this, like mental health, psychologists. Psychologists are paid 1099 to get on and see patients, and telehealth allows it,
Mm,
right? So at the same time, what is it? It's Jevons paradox, where when something becomes more widely available, it's not like we use less of it, we use way more of it because of the efficiency. Something to that effect, right? I think that, it's happening with compute and AI. It happens with telehealth, right?
yeah.
Just because something's more efficient doesn't mean the demands go away. No, it just opens up the market to so many more people. And that happened. I mean, you've seen medical cannabis cards. They blew up across the country. People on testosterone is blowing up. And it's just because it's the availability
Yeah.
of practitioners, and it's taking down the barriers, right? People are sitting in one state seeing patients in another state because they got their license. So,
Yeah.
um, to some degree, I think it's awesome. And also, there will be unintended consequences.
Yeah, interesting. And like like, I mean, the whole piece around AI and healthcare and health tech and what it's going to change. Like, couple of final questions for you. Where do you see Synth in like 12 to 24 months in terms of like expansion, especially with what you can do with AI now? Like you've talked about your take on the world globally, but like, do
Yeah,
you see other products spinning out of it? Like,
totally.
yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our goal, what we're building, is the operating system for psychologists. That means all the way from voice agents to be able to make the intake experience, whether it's in mental health or traditional healthcare, is dog shit
yeah,
across the board. It's like you just get in there, you fill some forms, or you got to do it on your phone, and it's not dynamic, it's static. There's questions over the place, it's duplicative. So I mean, we're going to go to the intake to do voice agents, and that voice agent is awesome. We've already
so
built
good.
this out a little bit where it'll be dynamic. It's incorporating screeners. The psychologist will get the whole transcript with an analysis of saying like, here's what happened and here's why. Here's the tree, all the way into we're working steadily right now on an ambient listening product that's going to be awesome to plug right into Synth, and then eventually all the way down into feedback and then revenue cycle management. So I mean, we are building the entire workflow for the clinician, for the psychology profession. And we'll have to start integrating with different providers, but that is the goal. In this calendar year, we will have the ambient listening product out and the intake, and then it'll be about revenue management after that. And this includes, I mean, people can already take and translate theirs to multiple languages. I mean, like the possibilities here are just
Yeah.
incredible with how we can, because I mean, if we can, the states, the insurance thing is so crazy here, where if we're collecting all this data on the front end, then by the time that we process with insurance, it's going to be accurate and done for the person. Now we're helping them raise revenue. They don't have to have a billing agent. I mean, it's the possibility there, it's incredible. And then we don't have to worry as much writing value along the chain about just the value in the report writing, even though that is totally the wedge. So that's what takes them the most time.
Yeah, I've had quite a few conversations with different people who have, are in AI native companies or founded an AI native company, and a few have said, like said, obviously it's going to free up our time. Like you're talking about psychologists, their ability to spend more time with their patients, more time in their personal lives. It'll be quite foreign to a lot of us, though, in terms of the way we've always worked, right? Like coming
Yes.
right back to founders, entrepreneurs, or even people
Yeah.
who are in roles where they're used to the Monday to Friday, it's clock on, clock off, like sort of thing in terms of whether it's 8 till 5, 8 till 6. Generally a lot of people get back online at night. It works change a lot, and it'll change significantly, I think, in the next few years in terms of will Monday to Friday even exist? People are doing 4-day weeks, etc. So we're going to have a bit of spare time if we continue to do what like you're doing, for example, from an automation, efficiency, end to end, just taking away all this, you know, low value tasky work that just consumes so much of our time. Do you think that people are going to then struggle to then know what to do with this time, or do you think that they're going to embrace it?
I know that I don't think founders are going to work any less. I mean, we might be able to automate the things that we don't want to do. I mean, founders may work less, but the ones that are starting their companies and getting them off the ground and the entrepreneurs, no, like an established business, yeah, probably going to save a ton of time and it's going to be
Yeah.
amazing. But I mean, I know that even when I was leaving Elevate and I was spending 20 hours a week working, I was guilty about it. I had an amazing team doing whatever I needed them done because we built the right processes and I should have been super proud and I was super proud, but at the same time, I was guilty about it and was like trying to find the things to do. Um, will the general population, will the people that, work, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's interesting. Will we come up against a purpose crisis? I
Well,
don't
yeah.
know.
So I'm
I
like
don't know.
fascinated by it, but I'm like, let's like
Ah,
a purpose crisis. That's fascinating. I haven't had anyone call it, will we come up against a purpose crisis? But I think that and I'm writing that down. I think that therein lies an opportunity to then be able to get really clear on what our purpose is and being able to get back to what's important and how does that then reconnect with who we are. And if we can get back to that point, we might see less mental health challenges, less need to go onto the social media to get the dopamine hits and things like that. So I think it's
yeah.
going to be a very interesting time as we see more and more of, like I said, what you're doing with Synth, etc. It's fascinating. So yeah.
I don't know. I think there's going to be we're going to get to that point and we're going to say, oh, we could have seen this coming, but I don't know if we can see it now. Like it's like
No.
when it's happening, it's, oh, that was obvious, like this was going to happen. But I think that there's going to be unintended consequences from this that we're not really able to see right now. The region of darkness, it's like, oh, are we going to not work? Are we going to work more? We're going to have 4 companies that we're operating. Are we going to become woodworkers? Are we going to, like, are we going to fish all day? Like, I just don't know.
It's a
I don't
fascinating
know.
conversation, isn't it? I had one guy tell me on the pod a while ago that the robots are taking over. And I was just like, what? And we had the best conversation because it got to this, it got down to this very point of purpose and people getting back to what they should be doing, which is what we were here put on the earth to do. Anyway, on that note, how do we, Stephen, I guess my final question would be, if I'm going to come back to what you answered when you booked in for the pod and you said having a conflict forward therapist is as valuable as a business coach for founders. If you were a founder or a company and looking for and needing that sort of, I guess, support in the business, where would you start? Where would you go looking for, like, you found a company therapist and you had it with a performance coach? What would be your advice?
Where do we even find? I think we found her on LinkedIn, just perusing around. Not that that's like the scalable thing to do, but We looked at a bunch. We looked at different companies, right, to try to offer employee wellness, but it wasn't really perfect. And um, I don't even know how much the staff. I mean, really, she was just on LinkedIn and found someone that she really liked and liked what she was saying.
So it's
So,
back to connection
I
and
mean,
yeah,
we just found someone that we used to watch some of her videos, and we were like, wow, that's actually like this is really
what
good
you need.
stuff, and reached
Yeah,
out, and then the team loved her. So we interviewed her, and everyone really liked her, and we just moved
amazing.
forward with an engagement, and then we kept expanding the engagement. So we started small, right, to see is this going to work, and like, oh, this is actually super badass,
Yeah,
and
love it.
kept expanding to where more and more people could see her and spend more time with her. And then, I mean, everyone was seeing her like every couple of weeks. It was outrageous, but it was great. And everyone was going through different stages of life and what they were going through, and had the opportunity to talk about that in relation to their professional growth. And they were able to talk about their vision and where they wanted to go in life. And they were exposing things that they wouldn't necessarily talk to me about. And so then I could get with the therapist, and she wouldn't talk about like deep things, but she's like, hey, like this is kind of where they want to go. Let's talk about this, maybe. And then it helped me frame. It was great.
I love it. And then last but not least, baby number two on the way. You said, you like juggling it all. You've got great support with your wife. Your wife sounds like she's going to need some support with baby number two.
Oh, yeah.
Two under two sounds, in fact, amazing, but also like, completely, probably
Yeah.
no doubt, chaotic, but in the
Yeah.
best possible way. How are you going to what's your number one thing you're going to do to like be more present or have that ability to carve time out for for you.
Well, I'm pushing for a nanny
I love
is what
it.
I'm pushing for to get that support. We
Outsource.
had grandma here. So her mom moved to Tulsa as well. And what we've done recently is actually started to put her time on a schedule so that it was consistent. Her grandma could do her mom could do whatever, and then she had the dedicated time. So that was a good, like having the scheduled time. You'll be here at 8, you'll be back at 2. Like having those things scheduled
Yeah,
out has been really beneficial. Um, for me, the thing that's been really beneficial when I get home, I just have to put my phone away, out of sight, out of mind, until I give the baby a bath and she's down. So
so good.
that's the time. And in the morning, usually I make breakfast because I'm up really early, and so I make them breakfast. So she comes down with the baby already having like some food on the plate, and I'll change a diaper. So I'm just doing the little things that I can do
I love it.
there.
Micro. I
Um,
love it. Amazing.
so
Yeah, I love it. It's so important to outsource, isn't it? Like as an entrepreneur, I know it's like costly, but sometimes you just need to do it to
gotta do it.
free up
I
space.
know.
How do we find out more about Synth? How do we find out more about you if I'm a clinician, if I'm a psychologist needing support in terms of automating and getting me out of all that, paperwork?
Yeah,
Where do we
yeah.
go?
Synth, it's psynth.ai. So synth.ai is the company website. My email is ss@synth.ai. So super simple, just my initials, SS. And you guys find me on LinkedIn, and that's where to go.
Amazing. Stephen, thank you so much. Really enjoyed our conversation today.
Yeah,
And
likewise, Pete. Thank you.
purpose crisis. Well, let's see where that lands.
Hey, trademark.
You might be like famous for calling it that. Thank you, Stephen. Have a wonderful week ahead and all the best with baby number two
Thank you. Cheers, you too.
and the business, of course. Thank you.